The Dell was formed from an excavation of building materials, in fact, many, many decades ago, and it's remained as an area of just rest and repose and beauty. It was gifted to the population by the Gainsford family, whose property it was, to be kept as an area for use by the population of Hitchin.
So in the old days, you couldn't actually get to this part because it was somebody's private garden. In fact, the house whose private garden it is still there, is a long way over there. This was a huge piece of private land that was given to the council under covenant when the family moved somewhere in the 1940s, I think.
Back in 1950, a member of Bancroft Players, Maurice Keeley, was walking his dog and he came across the Dell and thought it would be a great space to utilise and perform in. So he got in touch with someone at the council called John Coxall, who had just started there in the surveyors department, and between them they put something together, and the council backed it and invested in some infrastructure. So they put some seating and stage area in, and they were able to stage performances.
And in 1951, on the accession of Queen Elizabeth II, the country decided to run a festival called the Festival of Britain.
And every town was instructed by the government to do something to do with the festival.
And the district council here, in those days I think it was Hitchin Rural District Council or whatever, decided that they would like to put on a performance in the Dell as their contribution to the celebration of the Festival of Britain. So the first performance here was on July the 25th, 1951, and it was a performance of Midsummer Night's Dream.
Interestingly, if you were to see a picture from 1951 and now, 70 years later, you would still recognise it. The staging is still the same, the steps are still there, it's just that the trees have grown and everything else has grown around it.
It became uneconomic for it to continue. So it lasted for about 10 years, then it fell back into disuse.
For many, many years it was just neglected. Nobody knew it was here. It just lived behind, a bit like a secret garden.
And it wasn't until the Queen Mother Theatre opened in 1983 that the Bancroft Players decided it would be nice to continue the use of the place, which they did on an intermittent basis up until about the year 2000, which is when, I think, around when the last performance was, and strangely enough that was Midsummer Night's Dream, I think.
It's been a sort of empty, disused, sort of unused space for a long time. So what we really want to do is kind of make it more useful to the community and try and create an outdoor theatre that we can use every year.
It's not going to look desperately different at the moment. All we're doing this year is trying to establish whether there is a demand for open air performance, whether people are enthusiastic, and judging from the early ticket sales, that enthusiasm is there. So we hope to translate that into a project to make this more permanent.
All the things that you'd expect to have at an event or a festival, we've had to put in place for here, and that's been funded by donations, some crowdfunding, and also ticket sales.
It's been a long-term goal, and I know people have been talking to Hitchin Bid, to Councillor Keith Hoskins and to various other locals about how we get the space up and running as a venue again. And it's really, I think COVID has kind of pushed us into getting this space up and running as an outdoor theatre, because, you know, there's no better time than now to be using outdoors for events.
Yeah, outdoor rehearsals are really different. We've obviously had 18 months not rehearsing at all, so we've come back and you get a different vibe being outside. The acoustics are different. We get the occasional person wandering past. Last rehearsal somebody fell out of the bushes behind us, which was quite a showstopper. We're hoping that doesn't happen at the performance.
I have had maybe 45 minutes worth of conversation with Freddie today about, is it going to be too hot for trousers? Or what? That's something we've got to think about.
It helps circulation, though.
It helps circulation. It prevents sweatiness.
Yeah.
People are really nervous at first because, you know, people wandering past can hear what we're doing. It's a little bit awkward, but actually we've got used to it now, it's quite fun. And it's a really good way of exercising the old vocal cords because you've got to sing harder to make the sound travel further.
So Hitching Festival is a month-long series of events, arts, culture, talks, poetry, music, concerts. And it started life in 1991 as just a week of events and a programme of events, and now we have a whole month worth of things that have been put together. We get all the events together and we put them together in a programme and we promote them each year throughout the town.
We have lots and lots of theatre going on around here, and I think the idea of the festival is to bring arts to Hitchin over a 2 or 3 week period, and it always succeeds wonderfully. There's lots of rather eccentric things going on.
This year, Hitching Festival and Hitchin Beard, Queen Mother Theatre, the Market Theatre, Thespians, all those organisations plus others are doing this thing in the Dell for just 1 week, so it's only a week long. But the plan is, through the Hitching Festival and through all those organisations, next year perhaps we make it a month long, so the Dell is open for the whole month of July and hopefully even longer, perhaps into August if we can get the funding.
So we're going to perform a reduced version of the Pirates of Penzance, which is a Gilbert and Sullivan operetta. The plotline is suitably bonkers and normally takes about 2.5 hours to perform. We didn't have 2.5 hours. We wanted to get it down to less than an hour, so we didn't need an interval. So we took it apart and stitched it back together with all the good songs, but taking out the extra bits. So we have a beautifully short production that everyone can enjoy.
We're doing a Midsummer Night's Dream. We're not doing the whole of the Midsummer Night's Dream. It's a sort of tribute to a Midsummer Night's Dream, large bits of it. So it's a sort of an hour and a bit of parts of a Midsummer Night's Dream, all put together, tailored together to make a lot of sense.
I'm so excited. I am so
You're excited for what?
Zach's excited.
Everything.
This
I
performance.
cannot wait.
Yeah, no, we're really excited, man.
Yeah.
We haven't played in, what is it? A long time.
A long time.
A long time.
Year and a half.
Because of COVID, we've had 2 rehearsals all together, and we're super excited about that. It's going to be good.
It's going to be very lovely.
Yeah,
I'm excited.
It's so unusual in England, well in the UK, to have an outdoor performance space, that having something here on our doorstep is completely amazing, and it's so perfectly formed for people to come and perform in.
There's something unique about the Dell as an outdoor theatre. It's different to other performance spaces. Well, it's an outdoor space for one, so obviously you've got the elements. There is always the risk of rain, things like that. But what's nice about the Dell is it's an enclosed space.
It's sealed off.
Circular.
You can't
Circular,
get out if
that's
you want to. You're stuck in there if the worst
That's
happens.
perfect.
You've got no
escape.
shelter.
No shelter from the elements, barren
The
wasteland.
light does perfectly go through the trees though, so
it's quite scenic.
So it just kind of slightly hits your face.
You've got a lovely acoustic in here. You're surrounded by wildlife. It's a really nice environment to come and watch a show or a concert or do anything kind of creative in. And I think it's just been underused for so long that now it's time to kind of get it back up and running.
It can be whatever anyone wants it to be. There's never a lot of scenery or sets built. It was just used for performance. So what we're hoping is that it'll inspire people. It might be that it can be used for yoga, mindfulness, art classes, photography, just anything that is creative or a performance space that can be used.
This is the beginning of the beginning, nay, the start of the beginning of the beginning. So many wonderful evenings will be spent here together
As a group of people, having fun. The Dell at Hitchin.